Welcome back. We're going to end the wireframe tutorials with spines. So we're going to be creating spines. And in our next class session, we'll get into surfacing. So just a quick review of the syllabus. Okay, so here we are creating a spine. And in our next class session, we'll be jumping into creating surfaces. Spine is a good one to end with because even though in this tutorial, spine is pretty straightforward. It may not look like much, but it will when we start applying it to surfaces. Okay, so we're going to end the wireframe tutorials with spine. Now, if you were to go to the main tutorial site, either through your CATIA or through this link, let's go back to the tutorials. Okay, so if you were able to access this site, you can just hover. Again, try Chrome, Edge, Internet Explorer, Firefox. Hopefully one of them will get you to this site. All right, so go to hover over Shape Design, right, and pick the Generative Shape Design. Okay, so move down this window pane, drop down the window. So as you can see, we have all this here just on wireframe. We didn't cover all of them. So if later on you have time in class, or maybe after you're done with this class, you want to go back and practice some of your wireframe, I do suggest you go back and try out some of these other tutorials that we just don't have time for this class. Class is too short, 8 weeks. If we had plenty of time, then we would add these other tutorials. So I suggest if you had time on your own to go back and play around with these tutorials. All right, so we're going to end with spine, and then next class session we'll start creating surfaces. All right. Okay, so let's create a spine. So there are a few CATIA part files in spine. There's 1, 2, I think maybe even 3. Yep, there's 3 CATIA files for this tutorial alone, even though they're pretty straightforward, nothing difficult about them. Okay, so let's finish this up. Let's get it started so we can finish soon. All right, so download the CATIA part. Let's open it. Now, typically you don't see a geoset on a part body, but there are exceptions. I know some automotive companies and maybe some aerospace companies, they like to sometimes keep the geometric set inside of a part body. So if we were to make, for example, if we're working on the hood of a car and we're going to turn it into a solid, obviously, you typically start with wireframe, spines, surfaces, which then later on you'll turn into a solid. So some companies like to keep that geoset inside the part body. So the geoset are the parents of the final solid that is created in the main body. Okay, so I don't see it. Let's do a window fit. There they are. So I did a window fit all. Okay, in this tutorial, okay, we're going to be asked to run a spine through these planes. Let me window select all the planes. Okay, there they are. They're hard to see. Properties, and let's change them to a green color. Okay, there it is. All right, so we're going to run a spine going normal through these planes. So let's go back and let's see. So we're going to pick planes 4, or let's go, my mistake. That doesn't really show the order. Probably doesn't matter. We want to go in some type of order, right? Either left to right or right to left. Okay, so we're going to create a spine going through these planes. All right. And it looks like we're going to end it with this profile here. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so let's start with, let me rotate it. I want to end on the on this sketch. Let me change the color of the sketch because it's hard to see. Alright, so we're going to start with the plane on the left. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a spine. So we go to spline, and the fourth option is spine. Okay, there it is. So it's asking for sections or planes, right? Hey, pick your sections or planes, and you want to go in order. Let's start with this one and move on. Don't know what I just did. Didn't seem to like it. Went crazy on me. Let me hit reverse direction. Okay, that's better. Alright, so let's go on to the next one. Next plane. So we went from 4 to 5. Okay, now let's go to plane 6. Okay, looks like we're going in the right order. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and let's stop there and hit OK. Okay, so there's our spine. Let me give it some color. Okay, so when you think of spine, think of the spine in your back, your spinal cord. And imagine that the planes or the sections can be a sketch or a planar profile. Imagine that as the bones, right? So spine gives you strength, right? Gives you good posture, obviously, right? So if predator and aliens comes over and they fight over you because you're the prey and you're a prize, they're going to rip out your skull and spine, right? And you will go limp, right? So once again, spine is to give you some structure. You know, you want to stand firm when you walk into the ring. You're going to meet your opponent, start the fight. You want to stand up straight. You want to have a spine. You want to have a backbone, right? Same idea. Without a spine, your torso would just flop, and it's the same thing with surfaces. So in the next class session, we will be applying spines to some of our surfaces to strengthen it, make it go straighter. Good example is a fuselage on an aircraft. Okay, so there's our spine. Okay, so it seems that we're going to go from planes all the way to the existing profile here. So let's go ahead and pick that. Double click. Okay, so let's add some more. Let me lengthen this window. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add more. And I cannot pick this profile, so it must be doing something wrong. Replace, remove, let's add. Okay, I forgot to click the option add. There it is. I had to click on the add button. And there it is. Okay, so I forgot to click the add button. So I did add the profile. I just had to click on the add button. Okay, so there it is. So it can even go normal to a profile. So notice that the spine is going normal to all planes and profiles. All right. Okay, you can also reverse it. See what happens when we reverse the direction in 3, 2, 1. I don't know what's going to happen to reverse. Nothing happened. Let's go back to plane number 4. Reverse it. Nothing happened. We're good. All right. I guess we're good. All right. So let's hit OK. And just like a spline, you can remove, you can replace, you can add, etc. Okay. Let's hit OK. Let's go on to the tutorial. Let's look at the instructions. And just like spline, you can remove, you can add, you can right-click inside or click the buttons to remove, add, or replace any of your planes or sections, in other words, profiles. Okay, so now we're going to open up the second one. Okay, second tutorial, spline number 2, creating a spine based on guide curves. Okay, so these are going to be our guide curves, and we're going to create a spine between the guide curves. Okay, so we're going to use the guide option in the lower part of this window prompt. All right, so let's download the second CATIA part and open. Okay, so here we have our two curves. Let me change this one to green also. Okay, so we're going to create a spine between these two existing curves. And again, this is where you're going to see this in surfacing. When you're generating a surface, you're going to be using guides to help guide along the surface as it's generating, and a spine to give it some backbone, make it straighter, right? You walk into the ring, you want to have that backbone, right? You want to be standing straight, show that you're coming in strong, right? You don't want to look like a wimp when you face your opponent, unless it's part of your strategy. All right, so here we go. Let's go to spline again. My mistake, spine, no L, spine. Okay, we're going to go to the guide section. This time we're not going normal to a plane or a profile section. This time we're going to use guides. And let's pick this guide. And let's pick this one. And there's the preview. Okay, there is our spine. And okay. And there's our spine. Let's give it some color. Okay, we'll make it cyan. Okay, so there's our spine. So it's almost like taking the average of the two and coming up with the spine. Okay, so it's going to typically land in between the two spines, especially if they're apart. If they're overlapping, I don't know exactly what we're going to get. Okay, so think of like an average or an offset. It's not exactly the same, but it's trying to give you a nice clean spine that later on you can use to help you guide a surface. Okay, and that's it for this one. Okay, so once again, so here's an example of a surface which is being swept to generate the surface. So we will be looking at this in our next class session. When we generate surfaces, we'll be creating a surface, sweeping a surface using those guides to sweep it. And then we're going to use our spine as our backbone, right, to help guide the surface along. Sometimes the surface starts going off in different directions and you kind of need that spine to guide it along. Or sometimes CATIA refuses to generate the surface without a spine. So once again, think of your spine. Sit straight, stand up straight, right? And don't bow your back. Same idea. Okay, so we'll come back later on when we do sweeping, when we sweep surfaces. Okay, let's go to spine 3, reversing spines. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this one up. Open up the next one. Spine 3. Open. All right, so there's only a few elements here. Let me change the color. Okay, and there's a point here somewhere. Right click properties. I don't see it. Let's make it yellow. Oh, there it is. There's the point. All right, so in this exercise, we're supposed to flip it or reverse it, right? Double click on the spine, click the reverse direction, and click OK. And that's all you have to do, all right? I couldn't figure it out on the first one, so let's try it on this third one. Okay, so let's double click on the spine. And let's see what happens when we reverse it in 3, 2, 1, reverse. Oh, there it is. It reverses direction. All right. So we got it to work this time. Yes, that was actual excitement because I couldn't figure it out earlier. Okay, so we can reverse the spine direction. So it used these two planes, right? It used the ZX and XY plane. Let me hit OK. So let me increase these planes. So it's coming normal off of the XY plane. Let me make this shorter. Typically, you don't want to move it from the origin, but by the way, when you alter a plane like this, and you want it to go back, there's this refresh button or resize, and it'll set it back. Should set it back. All right, so now let's go to this one. Do the same thing. So I just wanted to see how that spine was generated earlier by the provider of this tutorial. And there it is. That's how it was created. Okay, let me turn off this option. Okay, so when this designer that created the tutorial, this person to create the spine used these two planes to generate a spine, and you can see it goes normal, perpendicular. Okay, and we have our point, starting point. Okay, so our point is our starting point. Cool. The good thing is that we can flip it, right? We can flip it, go in the opposite direction. Okay, so that means it's still the same plane. Still the same plane. Let me turn on the option 2, alter the plane. So it's still intersecting at the same plane, as you can see, or touching the same plane, the ZX plane, but this time it's going in the opposite direction, as you can see. All right, so save your work, and I'll see you in the next video where we will be discussing surfacing. All right, so see you on the next one.